Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I've got a special treat for you today. This is a hyper rare, hyper exclusive, highly sought after vehicle, the 2022 Ford Mustang EcoBoost with a 10-speed torque converter automatic transmission. Oh, baby! So, this is my rental car, and it is straight fire. It's actually better than I expected. All jokes aside, this car is pretty legit. And I had a 2022 EcoBoost down in San Diego about a week or two ago. And now here in LA, I got a 2022 EcoBoost. And the car it's not really a good sports car, but it's a comfy cruiser, I guess. You know, that's kind of the summary, the TLDR, TLTW, if you will. And here's the thing, what I like about the car, well, the actual engine sound it's just weird. I think they're piping in some sound through the speakers. It's not very pleasant, if I'm being honest. It's a 4-cylinder, 2.3 liter, turbocharged, and like hear that, right? But the thing is, it has 310 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty good. It's not bad, especially in a car that costs less than $30,000 brand new. I think it's around $27,000. So what you got to keep in mind is that this is less than $30,000. And when you have that perspective, in all seriousness, I am actually kind of impressed by it. So, okay, steering. First of all, I have it there's 3 modes. You got, oops, that's the drive mode. The steering mode is Sport, Comfort, and Normal. Sport is obviously the tightest, the heaviest, and it has a little bit of a artificial weight to it, but it's not that bad. I mean, you actually get a little bit of road feel. It's definitely not a very impressive electric rack, but it's also not terrible. I've definitely experienced a lot worse. And then beyond that, you have different drive modes. And if I'm being honest, I don't really know the difference between all of them, except for in Sport and Sport Plus, you do get a little bit more aggressive downshift. It's gonna hold the gear longer. But here's the crappy part. The crappy part is that there's no paddle shifters. The 2020 that I had down in San Diego has paddle shifters, so I could hold a gear. And it would actually hold that gear. It wouldn't automatically upshift. I mean, granted, whenever I wanted to downshift, it would be very slow to respond, which is expected in a cheaper torque converter transmission. But this one doesn't let you hold it, which is actually really scary. So if you like that adrenaline, you like not knowing whether or not the power is going to hit you and whether you're going to slide and break traction and crash, then this car's for you. You get that adrenaline rush because you'll be taking a corner and give it a little bit of gas, and then boom, it downshifts 2 gears, and now you're in the power band, and boom, it just hits you like that. So, gotta say, the transmission is pretty horrendous, for lack of better words. Yeah, horrendous. That's what we're gonna go with. Now, beyond that, the interior is pretty great. I gotta say, the steering wheel super soft, feels great in your hand. You got heated, cooled seats. This is actually a pretty comfy cruiser. And if you wanna just kind of chill, relax, drive around without going too aggressive, without having to really work too hard, then this is a chill car, The power is enough so that you're not completely bored. The weight is so much that it feels like you're kind of driving a boat. 3,600 pounds, god damn. It's a big boy, a chunky monkey. But if you like that, if you like them thick, then this car might be for you. The brakes are actually, see, it just downshifted there without me expecting that, which is cool, I guess. Adds a little bit more spice to the experience. The brakes are actually, they're pretty good in terms of the initial bite and how progressive they are. I like it. I'm satisfied. Again, for $27,000, I'm impressed. I wish there was a way to make the engine sound a little bit less obnoxious, though. It's almost a bit distracting. Yeah, you feel this mass on the turn. It's like large and in charge. Here we go. Straight up boat status. Now on the slower turns, I have been able to kick out the tail a little bit. But I don't think this has an LSD, so you're not really going to be holding any sideways action. Oh, baby. But for real, this car's not bad for 27K. It is actually pretty impressive. If I were to go to another Hertz or Avis or whatever insert car rental company, you're not going to Toro, because Toro, you can rent more interesting cars, but then the issue is the insurance, and that really adds up. Whereas with these rental car companies, if you have the right credit card, you can actually get the primary rental insurance for free. So that's the route that I go. So if I were to go to one of these just standard rental car companies and not pay for the premium, super high-end cars, then yeah, I'd be happy with this. It's not bad. It's actually a lot better than the 2015 Mustang I was driving in Hawaii a few years back. Because that thing was just even more boaty. Look at us. We hunted Toyota MR2s. I'm kidding. Drive responsibly. Oh, damn, baby. Is that a Nissan Versa? Oh, baby. Or is that a Sentra? I think it's a Nissan Sentra. Oh my goodness. Spicy. Alright guys, so now as we slow to a crawl, let me summarize the things I like, things I don't like about this vehicle. Oh, one thing I forgot to say, in the center gauge, you have this very low resolution LCD screen. It's probably like 12 pixels by 12 pixels, but you can see things like your boost, which is pretty cool. They have some other things too, your cylinder head temperature, your inlet air temperature, engine oil pressure, all that stuff. I wish my car had these. This is actually pretty useful, especially if you were to go on the track. This would be an incredibly inappropriate car for the track, but YOLO. All right, so to summarize what I like, what I don't like, the engine, it's not inspiring anyone with its sound. It's not fooling anyone with its character, but you know, for under 30K, you can't really complain. It has enough oomph to not keep you engaged, right? To not bore you. It's not a snooze fest. It's got a little bit of turbo lag, and with the transmission shifting whenever the hell it wants, it just keeps you on your toes. Keeps it spicy. And beyond that, it is a quite comfortable car. It's definitely one of those cruisers, kind of land boats, land yachts. And the weight, I mean, that's the biggest gripe I have with this car. I just don't like fat cars. I mean, I'm not trying to body shame or anything, but these cars that are 3,600 pounds and trying to be sporty, I can't find the sportiness in them. And, you know, I definitely, I'm not saying that every car needs to be anorexic per se, but the sports cars are just so much more engaging when they are lighter. Everything improves, right? Your braking, your acceleration, your handling. So this is definitely a chunky boy. And as Jeremy Clarkson once said, the fastest car in the world is a rental car. With that being said, my friends, thanks for watching. Much love, and I will see you guys in that next one. Hold the tape. So you gotta love how I have these cameras here, guys. I got the lights, I got the mic, and yet you're seeing this through
a GoPro on my forehead because I'm too lazy to do all that stuff right now. So I want to say a few additional things about this car. Number one being that a lot of my assessment of this vehicle in the video was as a rental car, right? So I think that as a rental car, if you view it as a rental car, it is very impressive considering you're paying a very low price per day, like kind of like an economy car, and you're getting a little sporty kind of base level Mustang. As a driver's car, which is primarily what I'm focused on this channel, it does a pretty poor job. It's really not that good. And we're gonna go over this driving index spreadsheet that I have. But before we get to that, a few additional thoughts. Number one is this vehicle had 3.8 miles when I picked it up. So it was almost brand new. And I think that actually made it a better driving experience, to be frank, because the 2020 Ford Mustang that I had in San Diego was like 35 to 40,000 miles. And because people tend to abuse their rental cars, there was a lot of steering slop. There were just issues with the car, and that detracted from the experience and actually set my expectations lower, which is why I was so impressed by this one. Because in San Diego, there was like so much steering give and a lot of looseness, especially at the center, a lot of deadness. And this one felt a lot tighter because it's a brand new car. Number two is the braking. So I liked the brake feel, but obviously the brakes, they suck themselves because in these clips, I was primarily going uphill, but on the way back down, I was still driving not terribly fast, but spiritedly, and the brakes faded very fast. They were cooking, they were smelling, and a lot of brake travel, not a lot of stopping power. Things got a little bit hairy at times. So yeah, not a fan of the brakes. And then the final thing I wanted to mention was the weight. So I mentioned that I don't like thick boy cars, too much cushion for the pushin'. This is 3,600 pounds. That was an inaccurate statement. What I should say is that this car does not handle its weight well, because there are other cars that I've driven, one that's actually coming up very soon, that does handle its weight much better than this. And even though this is 3,600 pounds, this probably drives more similar to how some 4,000 pound cars would drive based on my experience. So what I want to bring your attention to now is this Jubbal and Cars Driving Index. This is where I'm going to score every car on the YouTube channel and break it down in a more objective way. The point of this is to be objective with a driving experience of a car. So first up is this 2022 Ford Mustang EcoBoost. Handling, I gave it a 5 out of 20. This comes down to chassis tuning, suspension, rotation, how it handles its weight, things of that sort. Engine, I also gave a 5 out of 20. Again, for the price point, if you're looking at rental cars, which are these cheap cars that you just beat on and you're used to having Nissan Versas and Toyota Corollas and Hyundai Elantras, then this feels a lot better than all of those. But I'm looking at power delivery, torque, the sound, the character. This engine had noticeable turbo lag, as well as a pretty lackluster character. Not a very impressive engine in terms of sporty cars, driving focused cars. And it's not trying to be that. It's a Ford Mustang EcoBoost. It's not trying to be a amazing sports car. Steering feel, this comes down to the feel, the feedback, the accuracy, the precision of it. I gave it a 3 out of 10. It's I've seen worse, but it's definitely not its strong suit. Transmission, for an automatic, this is going to come down to things like speed, programming, responsiveness. I give it a 2 out of 10. I really did not like this transmission. I couldn't even shift it. The reason I didn't give it a 1 is because it has 10 speeds, which I guess is better for being in the power band as well as fuel efficiency. And then congruence. Congruence is, does the ethos of the car align throughout the various aspects? Is it balanced? Is it harmonious through and through? And I think that the Ford Mustang is trying to be a sports car, and this is, to be frank, a pretty bad sports car. So I gave it a 1 out of 5. There's a lot of issues with the car. But again, if you view this through the lens as a rental car, I think it's pretty good. But for $27,000, I would take a GR86 or a BRZ any day, which would be much better across the board compared to this Ford Mustang EcoBoost, in my opinion, or some other cheaper, lighter sports car. Overall, this gets a 16 out of 65. Not a very strong start to the Jubbal and Cars Driving Index, but stay tuned. We got some exciting cars coming in the near future. Much love, and I'll see you guys there.